I'm Mel Barrett.
I'm Rebecca Lavoie.
And welcome to Something's Off, a true crime podcast where, well, we have breaking news.
We do? Breaking?
Yeah, we have breaking news. Just a few minutes ago, the defense rested in the Brian Walsh trial, and Brian Walsh will not take the stand. Neither will Michael Proctor. Neither will Yuri Buchanan.
Yep.
So just briefly, we're going to get into it because we have a couple of days of the trial to cover, mainly witnesses that I want to cover.
Yeah.
But today, first thing this morning, Judge Diane got up. She's so great. She laughed today, and it, I don't know,
warmed your
made me
heart.
happy. Yeah, she made jokes. It was fun. They are talking about, she dismissed the jury for the day, and they're talking about jury instructions, and I think lesser included. They're going to come back at sometime between 10:30 and 11 a.m., so I'll jump back in after we're done recording. And the jury will come tomorrow, and they will do closing arguments and jury instructions, and the jury will start deliberating. I don't think they're going to deliberate for very long.
Me neither.
And I'm going to go ahead and say today, I feel strongly that I'm right.
I feel strongly that I'm right.
Okay.
I think it's interesting. It's interesting because I am not thinking about what is, by the way, this is Briscoe for everyone who's never met him before.
Briscoe.
He's a cute boy. He's going to be snoring a lot.
Buddy.
He's wearing a sweater, so he's very cozy. So I think that for this trial, I'm not putting myself in the mind of Rebecca Lavoie. Did they or did they not reasonable doubt it? There is a preponderance of circumstantial evidence here. And the closing argument is going to be brutal. And the
Not for murder one. Not for murder one.
Matter. I completely disagree with you. I think there is circumstantial evidence for murder one. I really do.
Okay.
And I think that the jury will think there is, even if there hasn't been enough for, like, say, you or me. Or I mean, I can't say I didn't watch it as closely as you did, so I can't say that I wouldn't be. I could be easily persuaded, I think, on this jury, and I'm not easily persuadable. But also, this whole no defense thing, it's not uncommon. It happens, not all the time, but it happens not infrequently. And it's when lawyers believe that their defense could only make things worse.
Well, I have a difference of opinion on that right now.
Okay.
I think they did plan to put out a defense, and I did think they did plan to put him on the stand based on Tipton's opening statements where he said, you're going to hear it from Brian's mouth. I honestly think that the defense is like, wow, you guys rested and you didn't prove it. We're not going to push it any further. We're going to leave it right here for the jury.
That's not contrary to what I mean. What I mean is that they're at a good place. They could make a better closing argument now than they would be able to. Their defense could make the prosecution stronger, and they have the strongest closing now that they could make. Period. So that's what I meant, sort of. Yeah. So I don't think we disagree necessarily on that.
It's very interesting. I can't wait to see what happens. But I'm sticking with it. I don't think they're going to convict him of murder one.
Okay. We will. We'll find out. I don't want to be smug about it because I don't feel smug about it.
I don't feel smug about it either. I just firmly believe if I were on this jury, I wouldn't be convicting him of murder one.
Okay. It was interesting that the cops were never brought on the stand in any capacity. I think that's really interesting.
There were a couple. Well,
no, I mean the cops
Harrison,
we know. The cops we know.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, because that's the thing. I think that the defense would have called Michael Proctor if the prosecution had made a better case.
Right.
I'll just say that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And I don't really think that Yuri took part in like one of the pretrial hearings, like an evidentiary hearing. Yeah. He was on that, but. I don't think Yuri would have helped this case at all. I do think Michael Proctor would have helped the defense if the defense was struggling. I don't think the defense feels like they're struggling. I'll say that too.
Okay. Well, you've been. I don't know as much about this as you do because you've been watching it. I have not. I love watching trials, and normally I can just have them on in the background while I'm working. But this couple weeks has been really hard. So
yeah, you've been busy.
I am very. I will defer to your expertise here. But I still don't think the jury is going to let him slide on first-degree murder. We'll see.
Oh, I actually have one question before we get into our updates and then get into the actual trial of Brian Walsh. I was thinking about this today because when Judge Frenier was talking to the jury and asking them their questions, like, have you kept an open mind? Have you looked at social media? Blah, 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 blah. You can hear the jury in the background answering. And to me, it sounds like there's a predominantly male number on the jury.
Right.
What are your thoughts? How do you think you can't answer for, typical cis het males, but How do you think men feel about Brian Walsh right now? Men on the jury.
All right. I don't want to generalize,
Okay.
but I do think that men, well, it could go one of two ways. They could be,
Yeah.
there could be this like seed of misogyny that maybe she deserved it because she was cheating on him, because that shit happens and like in the back of jurors' minds. But there could also be the aspirational, I'm a good guy. I would never do anything like this. There's like, I don't want to say there's two kinds of men. There's obviously millions of kinds of men, but like those are two attitudes I could see going in there. Somebody who takes pride in the way they're perceived and, you know, just see this guy and they would love to talk about after this trial, but what a scumbag he apparently was. And then there's the kind who's like looking for an out, you know, like sometimes jurors are looking for a way out. And their way out might be, she was cheating on him, blah, blah, blah. Maybe there's something to this. Maybe there might be some way that they get themselves out of the conviction. But so what do you think?
Yeah, I hadn't thought about it until this morning when I heard the jurors answering in the affirmative, you know, to Judge Frenier. And I thought for a second, I went, oh, it seems like there's a lot of guys on the jury. And I think that guys, I don't want to overgeneralize either, but I think that a majority of men maybe in that area that we both know there's going to be one of two things. They're either going to think Brian Walsh is a friggin' idiot who's more concerned about his floopy hair and he's soft, or the other side, or there might be three options. The other one could be, you know what, this woman seemed to be wearing the pants. It seems like she was bringing in all the money. He was on house arrest. I kind of feel sorry for the guy. I don't really, but
I'm not rolling my eyes at you. I'm rolling my eyes at that, you know, that idea.
At them, at those dudes. But my point is that, like, I kind of feel sorry for the guy. I don't think he murdered her. I think he's telling the truth. I think she did die, and then he freaked the fuck out because he was already in trouble, and he took care of the body. And then I think there's a third set that is what you were talking about, the misogynist, like the even more misogynist take, which is, I mean, she was cheating on him. I would have snapped too.
Yeah.
But in thinking that, it's almost like sort of like the OJ jury. Like, OJ probably did this, but the cops were so fucked up.
Right.
And they just, you know, all those cops just got off for Rodney King. So we're going to give OJ an acquittal.
And the firmness of it. The firm, they had their own Michael Proctor in that case.
Yeah, they did. So it's like, depending on how many men are on the jury, it could go one of three ways as far as I see it. And the problem is, for the prosecution, they only need one to hang this jury.
Right. I think that a lot of people think they know about the OJ trial and they don't because they didn't live through it like we did, right?
I have a connection to it too.
Ooh.
A pretty strong connection.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'll tell you about it.
Are you a Kardashian?
I'm not a Kardashian. My screenwriting instructor in film school was the woman who recorded Furman for the script she was writing.
Got it.
And she testified, and I have heard the tapes themselves because she played them for us. And yeah.
Do you want to tell people what those are in case they don't know? I mean, I think most people know, but like
the tapes.
Yeah, the firm.
Yeah,
so Furman was the lead investigator in the OJ Simpson case.
Yes, and my screenwriting. I don't want to say her name just in case, because sometimes she feels weird about being involved in this case. She was a screenwriter in LA, and she was researching and getting ready to write a script about LA cops, like LAPD. And so she reached out to several cops and asked them for interviews. Furman responded to her and decided to sit with her for days and weeks and hours. And on those tapes, it was almost like a therapy session for him. He just opened up about all the inner workings of the LAPD and all of their racial biases. So he used the N-word repeatedly. He talked about Hispanic people. He talked about women. He talked about Black people. He's a total misogynist, racist, and he said it all on tape. And deep into the OJ trial, the defense found out about these tapes, and they called my screenwriting professor in to testify about these tapes, and they recalled Mark Furman to the stand, who then pled the fifth because if he had told what he'd said on those tapes, he'd be incriminating himself. But they were able to get it to the jury that he had said the N-word. And I think Johnny Cochran even said it in court.
He did.
Did you say this?
I believe he did,
and
too.
Mark Furman had to say, I plead the fifth.
Right.
And so in front of a majority, a very diverse jury, Johnny Cochran said the N-word in open court and asked him directly if he said it, and he pled the fifth. And that, I'm convinced. I don't think it was the glove. I don't think it was anything.
The glove
I
think it all added up because that prosecution was so flawed.
Yes.
And it's like, I would actually recommend that people watch the OJ Simpson documentary, the multi-part documentary.
It's so good.
It is one of the best true crime things ever made. It is so good. And you learn so much more about the prosecution and the defense and just sort of the strife within the prosecution that led them to make all those errors.
The politics that were happening around. I mean, the LA riots had just happened. Rodney King had just happened.
It's so good.
Everything was, it's interesting because it was right after Pamela Smart's trial. Oh, there's Ruby Doo. It was right after Pamela Smart's trial. So Pamela Smart's trial was the first televised trial. And then OJ was in 93, I think, 92, 93. And everything was just starting to be recorded. We were talking about this the other day, how there's a surveillance, like we're pretty much in a surveillance state and it's of our own making at this point. But back then, people were starting to pull out actual video cameras and recording what happened to Rodney King.
Yeah, not phones. Actual camcorders. Like
camcorders. And then you have Mark Furman on tape saying the N-word and talking about police brutality and talking about violating people's rights. And so that changed the course of that trial.
Right.
Recorded evidence of other trials and this one, or other incidences and this one, really changed things. So yeah, it was pretty groundbreaking at the time.
I'm just going to close my door for a second because Stuart's barking and I can hear it.
Oh, I can hear Stuart. Yeah.
And he's very annoying.
Bye, Stuart.
Oh. Sorry, buddy.
Oh, Briscoe. He's like, what are we doing here?
You're not helping with continuity right now.
It's real cute how he's like sitting up.
I know.
Next to you.
I think that just so we don't get added at, Pam Smart, I don't think was the first televised trial. It was the first gavel to gavel televised trial, and it was the inception of like the creation of court TV and stuff happened.
Yes,
after these
because
two trials.
Of her trial.
Yeah, and I think the first televised trial was the rape case that was the subject of the Jodie Foster film, The Accused. That may have been the first one. That's a great movie, by the way. Hard movie.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah,
and I was thinking gavel to gavel.
Oh, I know you were.
It was the first time we all sat down. And I said this on my podcast about the Pamela Smart stuff. I was 15 when that happened, and I would literally skip school to watch with like my mom and like my grandmother and the neighborhood women. And then sometimes we would even skip school and like go down to the Exeter courthouse just to hang out to see if we could get on camera. And so it was it was the first time that I, sat down and I watched a trial from beginning to end. And then I did the same thing with OJ.
Yeah.
It was just a couple of years later. I remember rushing home from school because it was LA time. So it was 3 hours ahead of us or behind us.
You could watch a lot of it after school. Yeah.
So I would get home from school and I would like literally plunk down in front of the TV and watch the entire trial.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is weird for like a 15, 16-year-old kid to do, but
not you.
I did. Not me. Not me. Anyway. Let's, we have a few updates on some other cases. Did you have something else to say? I think I cut you off.
Oh, just briefly, I wanted to say thank you to Jimmy, Auntie Deb, for calling us out on his show. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Jimmy.
Thank you for folks who are leaving comments on our videos. There's one that I wanted to point out. Someone really liked the in-your-face angle when I'm on my phone and not in my studio.
I saw that.
So I might just be a little more like that going forward. Two smart women who were fun to listen to. Brian Walsh's camera moment is what nightmares are made of. The shopping trip was heartbreaking. Enjoy the tangents and nuanced conversations. There really seems to be a theme in our comments and on people talking about us online is they like our nuanced adult conversations, even as we sit here with our
The View
freaking dogs. No. Oh my God, The View. I watched when The View first came out. This was when Debbie Matenopoulos on it, who was their first like right-leaning person. I mean, things weren't as right. I mean, she'd be considered liberal today.
Do you remember Elizabeth from Survivor?
Elizabeth Hasselbeck. Yeah, that wasn't.
I was shocked when she was on it. I know.
Yeah, she was really something. Also, she brought the celiac disease thing to America's attention because she was on Survivor and all they had was rice and she was starving to death.
Right.
And the other thing I want to mention is about the Give Send Go campaign being run by the McAlberts at defendingthetruth.org. They have a website.
Testify.
Testify. Yeah, that's the name of their campaign. And they have like a companion website that leads there, all this stuff. Anyway, my name popped up twice more the day after I spoke to you about it on this podcast. And I had to write to them again. And they took my name down again. And I've noticed since then there's been a lot more anonymous donations going up. So I don't know if it's the platform or if it's Denise Galvin who's taking names off or if the people are just deciding like it's not worth this thing getting taken down for us violating this terms of service thing. But I also in that doing, I actually did a little poking around into Give, Send, Go. And I just wanted to share a couple of things I learned with you.
Please.
Kickstarter and Patreon, which are the two platforms I'm most familiar with. I'm very, very familiar with Patreon. I've been with them for 10 years for my other audio podcast. They write at the end of the year a 1099-K for all of the taxes that they're reporting to the IRS. So like you got all this income from here and you then report it on your business taxes or your Schedule C or whatever. Patreon didn't used to. So they started doing this a few years ago. When I was first on the platform, you were responsible for your own self-reporting. And the idea is that almost no actual person is giving you enough to make individual person is giving you enough to make the threshold for reporting. Right. So they hadn't figured out yet. I think it's like
14,000 or something like that.
No. It's like 600 or 800, like if for a 1099.
Yeah. 1099.
Yeah. Right. So, but then a few years ago, they decided to do that before they reported to taxes. And this is the thing I found interesting about Patreon. There were many creators, and one of note, who I will not name here because I do not want to get sued, but they are a very successful podcaster to this day with a very successful Patreon, a very successful podcast. They were, a lot of people believe, and people who looked at the chart, because there's a thing called Graphtreon where you can look at Patreon growth.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, their graph looked like a pyramid scheme. Their graph was literally the same exact graph as like LuLaRoe leggings promises and whatever. It was like shaped like this, right?
Yeah.
And the thinking was, and there are people who did this, so people wondered if this person did it, that what they were doing is they were making a lot of donations, small donations themselves, so it looked like there were a lot of them. And then when they would get money in, they'd basically pull it out weekly and then put it back in with a lot more small donations. So they would basically create a pyramid scheme of subscriptions or a pyramid scheme of donations.
Scamming the numbers.
Because the numbers are what matters. If you have everybody who's ever pitched a public radio fundraiser knows this. If your fundraiser is doing well, you're going to raise more money. If you're on the radio saying, we're really behind our goal, whatever, people don't want to back a loser. They want to back a winner. That's how it, typically goes. So it was possible to scam Patreon, game Patreon to get more Patreon subscribers and to make yourself look. And when you're up in the ranks in Patreon, you're also more visible. So more people would join your Patreon. There's a lot of benefits. So Give, Send, Go has a similar benefit when you are a trending campaign, meaning that more people are donating today than they were yesterday or whatever. You can end up on the front page of the Give, Send, Go website, along with it's like some kid with cancer. And I'm not making a little light of that, but yesterday literally was like a kid with cancer. And Aiden Carney was trending earlier this week as he did a live where he was he put his Give, Send, Go up. And this campaign, the Defending the Truth Testify campaign, was on the front page for a while. I am not saying that's what they were doing. I'm not. But what was interesting to me is that Give, Send, Go does not report to the IRS when other platforms do. So there's a couple of problematic, they choose. I mean, I don't think it's illegal for them not to. I think that basically what Patreon worked out was that it was safer for them to do this. They didn't want to aid and abet people cheating on their taxes. You know what I mean? So Give, Send, Go. I mean, if you're a nonprofit, you don't have to pay taxes on donations anyway. There are a lot of nonprofits on Give, Send, Go. This campaign being one of them. So if one were to want to game it like this podcaster did, Give, Send, Go would be a good platform for that, because what they're writing you a 1099-K for is your cumulative earnings for the year. So they don't know if it's the same $100 that went out and went back in. It's like the big number is the big number, and you have to pay taxes on whatever that number is. So I think it would be easy for a regular person, to get income from Give, Send, Go that was not reportable, or that they chose not to report. I mean, it's all reportable, but that they cheated on their taxes with. I think it would be easy for people to game the platform. And I'm just really curious about it because they bill themselves as a conservative alternative to Kickstarter. They can brand themselves anyway. That's no judgment for me at all. But also, when I started looking them up to kind of see how the platform worked, I did come across a forum that was like, make money and don't pay taxes. So I don't know if Give, Send, Go knows. I'm sure that they understand that that's problematic, but I don't know if they know that that's how they're branded in some quarters on the internet. And I just thought it was interesting because I'm very accustomed to creator platforms and the benefits and downsides of them. But yeah, that's what I learned about Give, Send, Go.
I find it interesting that the way that this campaign was created, it is a 501c, right?
No, they don't have a filing as of now for 501c3.
Oh, okay.
And when I asked that question on Twitter, I got freaking attacked.
Why?
Like, I don't know. Like, well, Karen Reed doesn't have a 501. I'm like, I don't care. I wasn't asking.
It's just a question.
Yeah, it's a tax status, not a morality clause. Like, that's the only thing I was asking because I think that people want to know if they're writing a check to something, if they're going to be able to write it off on their taxes at the end of the year. That's all.
That's my point. Yeah. That's the whole reason I just asked the question. That's so crazy that you got attacked for it. So they're not a 501c.
No, they say on their website that they hope to start a foundation, which ostensibly would be a 501c3. But no, this is attached to, all the money goes to Denise Galvin. That's what it says in this campaign. So,
great.
Yeah, I hope that the folks who are donating don't think it's a 501c3. And again, you can give your money to anybody you want. So you're donating.
That was sort of where that's where I was leaning, because if they're making it seem like it's a foundation or if it's a 501c3, then people are like, oh, they're trying to start up a not-for-profit that's going to help witnesses. I'm not really sure what they're doing.
Help people in a state with a really fucked up witness intimidation statute. Cry witness?
I guess.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure, but they're trying to make it seem like it's some, ACLU, but for the McAlberts. It's so strange to me.
Right.
But I wonder if they're saying it, if they've created it this way so that people do think of it that way, instead of just a straight up legal fundraiser for them.
Right. Well, the road to hell is paved with good intentions, right? So there are a lot. Every time you hear about a law with somebody's name attached to it, like Marcy's Law would be an example of one.
Wait, did you know that I was going to talk about that?
No, I didn't.
That's what I'm going to talk about that.
Marcy's Law is a nationally backed campaign that bills itself as a victims' rights campaign.
I'm about to talk about it.
So problematic. It is, and it's hugely problematic. And a lot of these laws are hugely problematic because they end up violating people's rights in unintended ways. So, there's a whole thing about laws named after people. They usually passed very quickly. They usually have a lot of grassroots backing in addition to corporate strategy behind them. And when laws are passed very quickly, the unintended consequences of the laws are off. Like the sex offender registry is a really good example of this. Yeah. The sex offender registry, on paper, you'd say, I want to know if there's a child molester living in my neighborhood. Do I want to know? Do I want someone to be marked forever if they urinated in an alleyway? No. Do I want them to be marked forever if they were 15 and had a 15-year-old girlfriend? No. And that's how it's, because any sex offender law, that's a statute that gets attached to somebody's arrest, puts them on that list forever. And it's not a small portion of sex offender registry people. It's a huge portion of sex offender registry people are just regular people who got arrested for some stupid bullshit or because the dad didn't like it that my daughter had a boyfriend kind of situation. And they end up on the registry like forever. So,
Yeah, I just covered on the In Between podcast this week, on my weekly, episode, I just covered Matt Shepard. I've been thinking a lot about him because of what happened to Sam Nordquist, which is another episode that I did on the In Between about this young trans man who was basically kidnapped, tortured, and killed by the people that were supposed to love him. And those people are going on trial in January. But I was talking about, in my episode about Matt Shepard, I was talking about the Hate Crimes Prevention Act of 2009, which was named, has Matt's name on it, as well as James Byrd Jr. And this law was supposed to protect people. It was supposed to expand protections for victims of crimes, basically hate crimes, race, color, religion, national origin, sexual orientation, gender identity, yada, yada, yada. I don't know if this law has helped anything or anyone because it doesn't seem to be enforced.
Right.
I'm still trying to disseminate why Sam Nordquist's murder was not considered a hate crime. I mean, I get it, but I don't get it, because it's just like they're saying that it's not a hate crime because a couple of the people that were involved in torturing him were part of the LGBTQ community, so they couldn't be. And I'm like, you do realize that like partner violence, especially within trans relationships, like when one partner is trans, is so high. Like the idea that it would be like saying that something wasn't DV because they're married. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's ridiculous. But yeah, these laws are really interesting, and it's really funny that you brought up Marcy's law, because I wanted to talk about. Do you have anything else you want to add about?
No, I want to know. I'm curious as to why you're bringing up Marcy's law.
Jesse Butler is back in the news. Jesse Butler, let me remind the audience, is that teenager. Well, he was a teenager when he did this in Oklahoma, who sexually assaulted and nearly murdered two of his ex-girlfriends. And instead of spending the 72 years in jail that he should have been spending in jail,
that he was sentenced to by a jury,
the judge chose to give him youthful offender status. And now he's pretty much just like hanging out at his house, is not allowed to go on social media, and has some probation issues. So what's happened in the past week with Jesse Butler is that he ended up having to go to court. So earlier this week, this was reported on December 9th, he had to appear in court for a review hearing of his youthful offender status. And the court found he's currently in compliance. Of course he is. It should have been 78 years, not 72 years. Huge protests outside again, people screaming, "Why did you rape those girls?" The community itself, Stillwater, Oklahoma, is really pissed off about this. I mean, and it goes across the board. It's very Karen Reed like. The community is pissed that this kid is just getting probation for nearly murdering two girls.
Yeah.
And as I was doing my research, I had noticed that the parents of one of the victims actually sat down with Nightline and did an interview, which I thought was interesting.
Nightline? It's still on TV? Nightline?
Yeah, I didn't realize that either.
No idea.
They previewed it on Good Morning America. But yeah, the parents sat down. You know, they have an attorney, and their attorney, this is the news that I wanted to talk about, she just filed a motion to enforce victims' rights, because under Marcy's law, which is, you know, Victims' Rights Amendment under Oklahoma's Constitution, Rachel Bussett is the name. I think it's Bussett. I don't know how to pronounce it necessarily. That's the attorney's name. She's arguing that Kate, one of the victims, and that the other victims were also denied key rights afforded to them by law. Specifically, this is really messed up. And I still don't understand how this to me screams of influence on the judge, influence within the community, because there's no way any of this should have happened the way it did. But specifically, the motion is stating that the victims were not properly notified or allowed to participate in the process of changing him to a youthful offender status. So the timing of the hearings was changed, or hearings were canceled without victim input or notice. The victims only learned of the plea agreement shortly before entering the courtroom. Like as they were walking in, they found out about it, which violates Marcy's law. The motion lists specific dates or canceled or rescheduled hearings. And then what they're seeking is they want to enforce Marcy's law protections, which would, effectively recognize the procedural handling of the plea deal and proceedings. They want to set aside the current plea deal and schedule a corrective hearing, which I find really interesting, where the victims can be heard, including giving testimony and statements about the crimes. And then they also want to order a pre-sentencing investigation to support resentencing, meaning the court could consider the terms of Butler's probation or sanctions. And this attorney is going public. She's been on a bunch of media outlets talking about this. I think it's interesting. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what judge would be hearing this motion. I don't know if it's the same judge that changed his sentence. But I'm really kind of disgusted by the whole thing, and I'm hoping that this attorney makes some sort of inroads. Do you have any thoughts?
Yeah. I'm afraid we're going to have to agree to disagree here. Almost every wrongful conviction and case where we are infuriated, almost all of them, it is because of undue influence of victims of real crimes or victims in name only who have been dubbed victims by police, by courts, etc., who are allowed to have undue influence over due process. So this is the problem with Marsy's Law. Listen, this is, again, road to hell paved with good intentions. Like, it sounds amazing. Like, you should have constitutionally protected rights if you are a sexual assault victim to, have some sort of process too. The bottom line is, it is not your process. Now, whenever I talk about this publicly, I always get this is how I know you're a victim without knowing you're a victim. I'm like, you don't know that about me. You really don't. I believe in due process more than anything, because when you don't have due process, not only do victims get fucked, but innocent people get convicted and sentenced to death and sentenced to life in prison. And it's very often because prosecutors and police become very cozy with victims' families and make them part of their process. And it takes some of the rights away from the defendant. The worst defendant in the world, I've said this podcast many times before, has rights. And this kid, Jesse Butler, what this judge did was abhorrent, like objectively, in my opinion, abhorrent. But that's what the judge did. And that's the law. The law is the judge can make that decision and chose to. Jesse Butler is a real piece of shit, but should not have be put in a double jeopardy situation because people don't like it. Because then what happens? Like, look what happened with Curtis Flowers. He was the defendant in the middle of In the Dark Season 2 podcast, which won a Peabody and a Pulitzer. And the Supreme Court of the United States, the conservative Supreme Court of the United States of America, would not allow him to be tried again. This racist prosecutor in Mississippi named Doug Evans wanted to try him for like a sixth time. And this was a demonstrably, and the podcast was so measured, they never said Curtis Flowers was innocent, but they reported a ton of proof that he was. And you could decide for yourself. And I don't think anyone could listen to that podcast and think he did it. But you know who does think he did it and will forever? Are the families of the murder victims in that case. And the reason they will think that forever is because the prosecutor has been telling them that forever.
Interesting.
And if they were protected under something like Marsy's Law at the time, if they had the kind of protections that some people want for victims, it's an excellent chance Curtis Flowers would still be in prison. So I think that's the thing to think about. Who is able to, when there's a law like this, like the witness intimidation statute in Massachusetts is so broad that you can call yourself a witness. You can have a prosecutor basically name you a witness so that you can get somebody in trouble under this very broad ass statute. And that's what's been happening. We've watched it happening.
We're watching it play out.
And that is a statute that was probably created with good intentions. I mean, these things really, they trouble me. I do think that judges need to have power. Like, if you don't like it that a federal judge turned over a ruling that you think is right by a lower court judge, then what you're saying is that my local judge should have more power, right? But the system is the federal judge can turn over and the Supreme Court can turn over. When there's corruption in the system, that's obviously a very different matter. But that's also the way a lot of good things happen, is because the right ruling takes place or the wrong ruling gets overruled, which is what happened in Curtis Flowers' case, like again and again and again. So New Hampshire had a Marsy's Law campaign a few years ago. It looked like it was going to pass. It had a lot of support. Our state legislature has 400 plus people in it, and our state senate has 24. And they're mostly citizens. They're not career politicians. They make $1 a year or $100 a year plus mileage. And they are most bills in most state legislatures are copy and paste bills. And this was a copy and paste bill. And it was kind of like when they got wind of how copy and paste it was and how problematic it potentially was. I don't know if they were thinking like, hey, does this mean my drunk driving thing would have gone differently or whatever? But like there was all of a sudden the tide just like turned like that, and it didn't pass, which surprised me because it does pass in places where it comes up because it has the color purple. Like they have special signs, they've got balloons. It's like one of those ones. And it sounds awesome, but it is like the sex offender registry, like a lot of these things, it has unintended and potentially very unconstitutional consequences. And Marsy's Law, I think, has been enacted into law and then repealed in several states for this reason. So, yeah.
I think that with this case in particular, when I agree with you. I agree with what you're saying. I think that, when they're getting ready to sentence someone who's been convicted of murder, the victims' families always sort of have a say. So when I was, this episode I just did about Matthew Shepard, those guys that murdered Matthew could have gotten the death penalty if not for Matt's dad, who stood up and said, I would like to see you die, but I'm not going to do that to you in Matt's name, basically. So it is interesting because victims' families, especially in murder cases, they definitely have sway. They definitely are, I think that happened. That actually happened with Pamela Smart too, in her, not that it affected her sentencing, but, the state of New Hampshire really had her husband's family in their pocket at all
Greg
times.
Smart's
And there,
family.
Greg Smart's family. And there are, like, I put during the series, I put a quote in there because I was trying to figure out why they transferred her from New Hampshire to New York. And from what I understand and from what I uncovered, it was because Judy Smart was like, we think she's got it too easy in that prison. And they went right to the district attorney.
That's saying something because the New Hampshire state prison system sucks.
It does suck. But back then they thought she was like teaching classes and stuff like that. So they were like,
they don't have a lot of programming for women there. So I doubt they probably said that, but it probably wasn't true. The men have furniture making programs and all this stuff. The women can make license plates and birdhouses. Like, it's wild, the inequity there. But yeah, the prison, our correctional system, great public defense system, horrible correction system, very underfunded, very under-resourced.
It's interesting to me too because the state of there's a huge population in the state of New Hampshire of a certain age, I will say, that is and will always be against Pamela Smart ever getting out of prison. But I don't think that those folks realize that they're paying to house her in New York.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And if they did, re-sentence her or give her a new trial, which is what I think that her lawyers and her team are hoping for with this new habeas petition, I think that they would be saving a lot of money in the state of New Hampshire because they got a small, a little small financial boost in New Hampshire when they gave her to New York. But every year, the citizens of New Hampshire with their tax dollars are paying to house and feed Pamela Smart in New York.
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway,
don't ask me my opinion on victim impact statements. that's for a different day.
I think I know your opinion on it. Yeah. And I tend to agree. I feel like it adds, it puts a layer, I'm totally fine with victim impact statements, but I think that they should be separate from a hearing. I think they should be separate from the court.
I think they should be not taken into consideration. I mean,
that's what I mean.
Again, there are statutes around sentencing.
Yes.
And victim impact statements can greatly affect the sentence that a person gets, or also can change public perception of a person forever. And sometimes that's fucking awesome. Like the victim, even though I disagree with the constitutionality of victim impact statements. I really do. And again, don't at me about not being a victim because you don't know me. But the Larry Nassar case is a great example where you're just about to ask you that. Hearing from this 500 women about this shit that's so brave. It's so fantastic.
Yes.
But is it constitutional in our system for a man to sit there and listen to this for weeks on end or whatever, and then have his sentence change potentially as a result of somebody who is not a court, who's not part of his court process? Sure, I am thrilled at his sentence. Don't get me wrong. So it's a double-edged sword. I want to, again, good intentions. I want to think it's a good thing, but in so many cases, like the Curtis Flowers cases, again, horrible. If Karen Reed had been convicted, okay.
Yeah.
Most people watching this would agree that would have been a miscarriage of justice and a bad decision by the jury. Yes. After she was convicted, imagine that all the O'Keeffes would come in.
Oh, I know.
Talk about how horrible she was, how she's ruined that. And would that be would that be constitutional? And I think more people, this is the reason I think the Karen Read case is so important, is that people, it can get people thinking, because there's so much popular support and so much clear corruption. It gets people thinking about the criminal legal system in a way that they wouldn't think about it if it affects somebody that they see as bad.
Yes.
So a lot of people who are seen as bad are innocent. I mean, we just saw this reporting last week that 8% of murder convictions in Massachusetts have been overturned because they were wrongful convictions, not because of process or whatever. That is a high percentage.
Oh, yeah.
So think about like the 1 in 12, the 12th person, the Karen Read type person who's convicted, didn't do it, and then 20 people paraded and talk about how evil she is. I don't like it. I don't think it should be constitutional. I actually think it is unconstitutional, but it's allowed. So that's my opinion. Not everybody agrees with it, but some people do. A lot of lawyers are like on one side or the other. But
to me, it doesn't matter if someone is, I mean, I'm covering another case right now about like a 30-year-old serial sexual assault, predator who I am pretty convinced didn't do it. And he's been in jail for over 25 years. But here's the thing. What was I going to say?
Menopause break.
Victim impact statement?
Fuck. I totally just lost it. It was such a good point.
Okay.
At least I thought it was. Anyway, must have been a lie. My grandmother used to say that if she would lose her train of thought, she would go, must have been a lie.
Yeah.
Must have been a lie. Anyway, let's move on. So the only other thing that I wanted to update on before we get into the Brian Walsh couple of days of recap is the House defendants have been given an extension to answer the complaint until January 16th by the federal court. Thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I saw somebody posted that Jen McCabe and her friend had told people that they were served with a bunch of papers on John O'Keefe's birthday, and they thought that was deliberate, as if a process server, like a process server. Now, keep in mind,
these people,
you are not.
How dare they?
You are not like, you don't have Karen Read or somebody else going, you know what would be fun? Would be if we served all these people with their notices that they have to give evidence or depositions or whatever. Let's do it on John O'Keefe's birthday. No.
Just to stick the knife in.
It's like, it's a process serving thing. There's like people who do that. They just pick it.
Maybe it was free. The universe reminding Jen McCabe of everything she's done because they served her papers on John's birthday.
Yeah. Oh, the new message, by the way, on the website is Brian Albert is a hero. There's a bunch of donations that say Brian Albert is a hero.
Off. Ugh.
It's so funny because even if this case hadn't happened, and if his record as a cop and the complaints against him from internally from in the department came out, these people would probably still be saying he was a hero. I mean, they have come out,
yeah.
But it's like he to be a hero.
He sucker punched a fellow police officer in the back of the head.
He's like 7 complaints against him for violence against officers or whatever.
Do you have the swear jar? The swear jar?
Oh, I do have the swear jar, but it's buried in pillows. And you know what you can do instead? You can look at my Starfucker mug.
Oh my God, I love that.
A listener made this after that Firefest type event we were talking about the other day.
Mm-hmm.
Because one of the people holding the event, we talked about it on my podcast, and what we talked about got a lot of traction. And my husband called one of the people involved a starfucker. And it was the moment that everybody, we had all this thoughtful stuff to say, whatever.
That's such a 90s thing. It was like a Tori Amos song. I used to call people starfucker all the time.
I know. And so it became like the viral thing that people took away from this like hour-long, very thoughtful conversation. And fans started making like merch. Like I got 4 starfucker mugs. I got t-shirts. But this is my favorite one because it's handmade by a very talented potter.
Amazing. I want one too.
Yeah.
Does Kevin say starfucker or does he say starfucker?
He says starfucker.
No,
he's from
ours.
Western Massachusetts, which is like which is a little more northeast sounding, a little less Boston sounding. Yeah,
Starfucker.
He does say some things really in a fucked up way. He says hot dog, which I think is really weird.
He says what?
Hot dog. It's for hot dog. It's like not hot dog. It's like hot dog. Hot dog.
Hot dog. Hot dog.
Yeah. Hot dog. Yeah, you just said it.
Weird.
It's like
that
hot
is
dog.
Weird. Hot dog.
Yeah.
Hot dog. Like HUT, like hot dog.
Like hot dog. Like they rhyme and they're neither one of them. It's not how he says dog. And it's not how he says hot. It's how he says hot dog. It's just like Holyoke, right? Holyoke, Massachusetts. Mm-hmm. There's Mount Holyoke College. There's like...
I got married there once.
Right. Holyoke people pronounce it Hoyoke. And they make fun of you if you don't pronounce it Holyoke. But they don't say Mount Holyoke College. They say Mount Holyoke College. So they know how to say those two words together as a contraction. But they, what is it called when it's two words together? Anyway, portmanteau or whatever. But they pronounce the name of their town Holyoke. And that's what they say. And every time I say that's like silly, Kevin, I get the like, that's racist, Rebecca. Not racist, but the equivalent from Western Massachusetts, whatever being racist would be.
There are so many towns and cities in Massachusetts that are, the spelling is just insane. My favorite thing from this trial is that from the Brian Walsh trial, is that they took the dumpsters and the trash compactors to Peabody. Yep. Most people outside of New England would pronounce it Peabody.
Yep.
And that's when I'm listening to an audiobook that takes place in New England and someone says Concord, New Hampshire.
Always.
Oh, makes me
Concord,
insane.
Massachusetts. Neither one of them is
Concord, Massachusetts, or Concord, New Hampshire.
It's just Concord. Concord, friends.
Concord. Peabody and Concord.
Concord.
Anyway. Worcester.
Welcome to Worcester.
Gloucester.
Anything, but also if you go to England, like that's how things are. I mean, it's like it's an adaptation of a British pronunciation of the same fucking name. So
yeah.
There's a Gloucester in England. There's like, there's all these, it's all in New England, all the towns are named after towns in England pretty much. Except for
when I moved
Hopkinton.
I was in Texas before I moved to New York City. And
New York
City. In Texas, there's a Houston, and in New York, there's a Houston.
That's right.
So Houston Street is one of my favorite places in New York City. But when I got there, also when I moved from North Carolina to LA, I moved a lot. There is when I first got into town, we were trying to figure out where our hotel was that we were staying in overnight before we moved into our apartment. And it was on this main road in the valley. And to me, it was pronounced Sepulveda. But in LA, it's pronounced Sepulveda.
Yes.
And so I was on the phone with the hotel because this was like in the early 2000s. And I was like, I'm trying to find the hotel. We're on Sepulveda. I don't know where I am. I mean, I had a little bit of a Southern accent because I'd been in North Carolina. And this woman on the phone was like, I do not know what you are saying to me.
That's asshole-ish
like,
because you know she did.
Sepulveda.
You know she did. And she was just being dickish. All you got to do now is watch Selling Sunset and you learn all these fucking street names. Anyway.
True.
Okay, anyway, I'm sorry that I got you on such a tangent and if people hate me for being anti-victim. I'm not anti-victim. I am pro-process.
Yes,
I'm pro constitutional rights for everybody.
The worst person in the world could be sitting on the stand. Those of you who think that OJ did it, all of these people. My favorite example is always going to be what's her name? She was acquitted of killing her baby.
Casey Anthony.
Thank you. Casey Anthony is a prime example. You have to have a fair trial. You have to have due process. Actually, you know what's really funny? I just said Casey Anthony. Her head is right above yours on the right on our recording screen.
Amazing.
Which is really funny.
Alec Murdoch I think had an unfair trial. I think he did it. His trial was dirty.
Dirty.
Real dirty.
And that was a piece of news that came out this week. The court reporter got convicted.
Or sentenced.
She's not going to jail, but she got convicted.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to be, I think Alec is probably going to be, I think he's filing some sort of an appeal.
He's not going to get a new trial. I
know.
Very
but
much doubt he will. But
And Buster is suing Netflix. No, Hulu. Who put out the series? Netflix.
Right?
Was it Netflix?
No, it was Hulu. You're right, Hulu. Yeah.
He is suing Hulu and I think the filmmaker, so Aaron Lee Carr, I don't know, don't hold me to that, but he is suing because of how they reported out the Stephen Smith story in the narrative project on Hulu.
Yeah, in the scripted project. They also, by the way, made it seem in the scripted series, like at the end, like that he thought maybe his dad did it. And he's been standing behind his dad this whole time publicly, so I'm sure he didn't like that either.
I mean, if you listen to their jail conversations, it's Buster. It sounds like he thinks his dad did it.
It does. It really does. That is, we should talk about that case sometime on the show. That case is interesting on so many levels beyond the deaths. It is
Oh my
so interesting. The
So-
political intersection, the small townness of it. It is a fascinating case.
The history of the Murdochs in that area. So let me just look over here.
Put on the list.
The Devil at His Elbow is basically a true crime book about the Murdochs, and it goes all the way back, like I think 5 generations, and talks about basically that they all did the same thing that Alec did all the way up. He learned it from them.
Well, it got worse and
it's
worse and worse. Generationally rot.
fascinating.
Generational
Yeah.
rot. Like they were corrupt, more corrupt, more corrupt, more corrupt. Yeah.
And on top of that, they were in the head of the judicial system there.
Yes. And,
I mean,
and
they
influential
were
in the South Carolina Democratic Party
Ooh.
too. Like Dick
So
Harpootlian was the
crazy.
head of the South Carolina
Mhm.
Democratic Party when he was
Mhm.
defending freaking Alec Murdoch.
Yeah. One of my favorite moments in that series was when they I know it happened in real life too, but I loved how I feel like Aaron really stayed true to these moments that were super important in this story that, Mandy Matney reported on. There were just these moments like when they took Russell Murdoch's painting off of the courtroom wall, and there was the outline because it had been there for so long, and just moments like that. I just thought it was such a good series.
Yeah.
I'm so happy for Mandy Matney, but I'm also, Aaron Lee Carr is my documentarian idol, and I just think they did amazing work. So anyway, okay. I think tangent's probably over at this point. But
I have one small tangent that I want to make.
Oh shit! All right, go ahead.
I'm sorry that I interrupt you sometimes, but I also want
fuck
people
off.
to know.
I
know,
don't give a fuck.
I also
I'm
want people to
gonna
know,
interrupt you
though.
right now. I'm interrupting you right now. I don't care.
I know, but can I say something else? There's
Yeah,
a
go ahead.
technical reason why on podcasts like this people interrupt more often. It's because even if it seems real time, there is sometimes like a tiny delay, just a tiny delay. It's when the video works really well, but sometimes you think a person's finished with a sentence and they're not, and you don't really have a cue that they're not, and you just start. So some of my interruptions are just my ADHD and not being able to keep my fucking mouth shut. Other ones are literally like, oh, she's done. So.
It's also that we're friends.
We're friends.
And we are having a conversation and we're completely engaged in the conversation with each other. And I'm sorry. Every time someone says that in our comments, I'm like, what about all the times that I interrupt her? I'm always like, like in the background, I'm always interrupting you and I feel bad about it. But
I'm straight
at the same
splaining
time,
to you is what I'm doing, Mel. Straight splaining.
You're straight splaining to me?
Like mansplaining?
Oh my God. I
Yes.
know. Wow.
I mean,
Okay.
I just learned that you're a lesbian like today. So
Jesus Christ. We had to talk about this yesterday in a group text too. Everyone knows now.
What did I ask you?
You said, it's fine, just don't try to turn me. And I said, well, my turning days are over.
Yeah.
I handed my official
But I let you in the
license
house is the problem, right? I invited you in.
You invited me in.
Yes, because
Oh my
everybody
God.
knows that gay people are just vampires waiting to turn you.
And pedophiles, right?
That's okay. And next topic. Trial.
Okay, Brian Walsh. Yeah. So very interesting couple of days. Obviously, we started this episode talking about the fact that everybody's rested and it's going to the jury tomorrow, basically, after closing arguments. Brian Walsh will not testify. Here, I don't want to cover all of the testimony over the past couple of days because there was a lot of forensics, DNA, that kind of stuff. There were 2 witnesses who were supremely important to the prosecution's case, and they saved them to the end, in my opinion, because they wanted to really humanize Anna, which is what I was saying the other day. I feel like Anna has been lost in this, her humanity, that kind of thing. So the 2 witnesses were Jem Mutlu. Jem actually met Brian Walsh. I don't know why this makes me laugh, but they met at like a leadership conference.
Oh.
Yeah. They were buddies. That's what Jem actually called them. He became my buddy. He sought me out and asked me to be his buddy.
What did he want from you, Jem?
Yeah. So what the way that it was set up was that Jem is a very well-known and respected and successful realtor in the area. Anna was wanting to become a realtor. She had met, I think she had seen or heard about Jem.
Sorry,
And
this
so
is very distracting. I'm sorry. He just wants to get down. Hold on.
No, it's okay. It's not
He's
distracting.
like,
He's a
keep
dog.
going.
That's what dogs
Hold
do.
on.
Keep going.
You can't cut this part.
I won't.
So distracting.
I know. I'm
There you
lucky
go.
that mine just she just hangs off the side of my chair and snores. She
God.
doesn't climb on me at all. She just sleeps the whole time.
Fucking piece of Velcro.
I know, he's so sweet
Oh
though.
God. Okay, keep going.
Okay. So Jem Mutlu, well-respected, successful local realtor. Anna wanted to be a realtor. She found out Jem, I think, was in this leadership conference, which was the length of a semester, he said, this conference.
Oh, it's like a leadership program.
Yeah.
Like we have those. We have like leadership New Hampshire, or leadership Greater Concord, and it's like you're an executive, and you go in and you meet other executives, and you get tours of like the newspaper and the police department. You do a ride along. It's like stuff like that.
Yeah, so they had a buddy system, and Brian Walsh sought out Jem Mutlu to be his top-level buddy, I guess. And so Jem then got closer to both of them. Then he met Anna. He actually hired Anna to be his operations, like chief of operations for his realtor company. So they became fast friends, really close. She worked for him from 2020 through 2022 when she got the job at Tish & Spire in DC. But Jem was like close to the kids. He was close to Brian. He was close to Anna. He's the guy who spent New Year's Eve with them. So Jem didn't really have anything going on that night. Anna was like, please come over. We know you're not going to be doing anything tonight. Just come over and be with us, blah, blah, blah. They had this sort of jovial, happy, lovely time on New Year's Eve. Everyone was happy. Everyone was, no one was arguing. There wasn't anything weird going on. However, 2 days before New Year's Eve, Anna had a 45-minute phone conversation with Mutlu about issues they were having. And here's where it got messy in court, because the defense was just like, no. Hearsay. So they had to do a voir dire of Mutlu. In the middle of his testimony, they called everything off. They sent the jury out. And let me pull up my notes on the voir dire. Hold on a sec. The Commonwealth tried to ask Mutlu about what Anna had told him on December 29th in that 45-minute phone conversation, especially her emotional state and their marriage. The prosecution wanted him to say they had marital problems, that Anna was stressed, overwhelmed, upset, and that she was talking to him about the issues between her and Brian. So this is definitely playing into the motive part of all this, which I'm going to say I don't think they established a motive, but okay. Kelly Porges was handling all of this, this testimony and the cross of Mutlu. And she was just like, she was being so forceful. He would start to say, Mutlu on the stand would basically he would be like, yeah, they were having meh, and he would say meh, and she would be like, objection, hearsay. And she was very forceful with the judge. Like, I want it struck. I want this out. This is not fair, basically. So then they did, Judge Diane was on fire. She did a voir dire, and she questioned him pretty hard too, because he was, I don't even know how to explain this guy. He was the combination of like Yoda and like some sort, he was like a guru.
He was also a little bit of a dandy, is what I sort of picked up.
Yeah,
like
totally
he was very
dandy.
Neat, very well dressed.
Turtleneck.
Yeah, very
everything was like
playing a character a little bit. Like he had a. I'm not saying he was faking. I don't know him, but he had like a persona. He seemed to have like a persona that he was projecting.
He did. He had a persona that he was portraying, I would say. And honestly, I feel like, this is my opinion, obviously, Brian, Anna, this guy, also her boyfriend, Will Fasto, who Jem introduced Will and Anna, by the way. They all are playing a character. They're all caricatures.
They're all narcissists? Is that what we're saying here?
I don't know. I just know that they don't feel real to me. They don't feel like real human beings. They're saying like these things that they've found, they've learned at leadership conferences and out of like self-help books.
Yeah.
It's everything, So anyway, during the voir dire, Mutlu on the stand used the exact phrase marital problems multiple times. And he was trying to explain Anna's statements in detail, but he kept saying, I can't recall with certainty if she said this to me. And the defense was like, well, do you need to look at your testimony? Like, not your testimony, but grand jury testimony. Do you need to look at your grand jury testimony? Do you need to look at your statement you made to the police immediately after, Brian was arrested? And he was like, well, and they were like, did you even review it? And he was like, no. So the prosecution didn't even go over his statements with him.
Right.
They were relying solely on the fact that he was going to be emotional on the stand, which he was. Anna was one of his dearest friends. He got choked up several times. So, but the prosecution had a little bit of a misstep here because I think that they were expecting him to be this emotional tie to Anna that was just going to like bowl over the jury. But instead, he was stumbling the entire time he was on the stand because he kept wanting to do hearsay testimony and he wasn't allowed to. So Judge Frenier eventually ruled he could describe her demeanor and her stress and her emotions. He could not testify to specific statements about marital problems, fear, or complaint about Brian. It's because her statements can't be used to prove Brian's motive unless they fit some sort of narrow state of mind exception.
Mm-hmm.
So the defense, obviously was objecting on hearsay, late disclosure. This was an interesting thing. So the defense, the prosecutor asked Mutlu, did you tell me that yesterday at lunch? And this question was asked to prove the prosecutor wasn't hiding evidence. But the defense's concern was that this information, especially about the photo of Will, which we'll get into in a minute, had never been disclosed before, and the defense was blindsided by it. That's why Porges was so pissed off. The prosecutor then got up and tried to fix it by being like, so he established it. He learned this yesterday. He immediately told the defense, and therefore there was no misconduct.
So what did he establish? What was it that what he got at lunch? What did he get at lunch?
He established at lunch that about the photo of Will. So let me explain what happened. So Mutlu he had come over for New Year's Eve. They were in the kitchen, sitting around like the island. Brian was cooking dinner for everybody. He and Anna, Mutlu and Anna were sitting next to each other. And she said, hey, let's take a picture for Will. And so they leaned in, they took a selfie, they showed the picture in court, and she immediately texted it to Will Fastow, her boyfriend. At this point in time, they were able to establish on the stand, Mutlu didn't know about her and Will.
The
Brian
affair.
didn't.
Yeah.
And you'll find out later from one of her best female friends, Alyssa Kirby, who was her friend in DC, she didn't know about the affair either. She knew that Anna had a crush on Will, which is what Anna told Mutlu as well. And here's another thing that came up. Mutlu actually fired Anna because she had been acting passive aggressively toward him and had done something. And he's like, but it didn't ruin our professional or our friendship. I actually met with her and I sat down with her and we talked it out and blah, blah, blah. But he fired her. And then it also came up that Anna also had a crush on Mutlu. And when they asked him about it, he's like, well, I don't know anything about that. But they apparently have that in text messages.
So she told someone else she has a crush on him. That could mean that they were having an affair, couldn't it?
Could.
That's very much a could. I'm not saying it does, but...
It is a could, but I don't think that this witness or even Alyssa, the next witness, helped the prosecution other than they both cried on the stand, and that helped humanize Anna and show that she had people who cared about her and loved her. But some of the stuff that was going on, you were just like, this is helping the defense. This isn't helping the prosecution.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah,
I'm sorry to interrupt.
God, Rebecca, stop interrupting me.
His other conviction, his other case
Yes.
for the art stuff, is that not allowed to be mentioned in this trial?
No, it is. She actually gave an instruction to the jury. I think it was yesterday or the day before. It came late, but she did that.
Okay.
What they're not allowed to hear about, as far as I understand it, is that he pled guilty to lying to the cops and...
Got it. But the case itself is...
No, they talked about the federal case throughout the entire trial.
Because if I were his attorney, or if I were the prosecution, actually, I would be bringing that up. I would be asking these
always
people...
been brought up.
Oh, are they asking if the marital issues are related to this thing?
Yes.
Because and thing, I would remind the jury about that as much as possible. Because Kevin, by the way, my husband, does not know a lot about this case. He knows about the text messages, and I showed him the Lowe's video and stuff. And we were talking last night. I was like, do you know about all the other shady stuff around this couple? And he's like, no. I told him about the art thing, and he was like, what?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, he put a real picture of a real Warhol online and shipped a fake one. And then also she had this whole thing with the Legionnaire's disease and the trying to minimize that. And then the spies.
Yeah.
Which is incredible. And I'm like, this couple, like they appear to be a couple of liars who found each other. Right.
Yep.
But I think that him having this other case hanging out there is kind of a damning fact, especially given what he has to gain if she dies.
So I don't think it is. I think that, and I'll tell you
why. I'm
why.
not saying you think it is. I'm saying the jury might think it is.
Oh, right.
Because when I told Kevin about it, Brian's my ex-husband, by the way, who I really like. So when I told Kevin, and I've been married to Kevin for 15 plus years, and I still do that.
Mm-hmm.
So when I told Kevin about it, he was like, "Oh, so that he must have needed like the insurance money." He immediately went there, and I was like,
"He didn't need the insurance money."
Yeah, I'm just saying that's I think, but also knowing somebody is a criminal or like did a criminal thing is not helpful.
Thing.
Yeah,
no, I think that's the thing. I think they've established that he's a con man, and I think that whole line from the prosecution wasn't helped by him staring at himself in the surveillance camera and primping and smiling and winking at the camera. And the fact that but then again, it also goes to, they haven't established that he has narcissistic personality disorder. I feel like if the defense had actually brought that up or had been allowed to bring that up, that would actually help the jury understand why he doesn't show a lot of emotion. He's, like mugging in the camera. He's doing all these things. So
Menopause break.
What was I going to say? So anyway, they had the voir dire. They brought him back. The problem, though, is that Mutlu kept doing... He got yelled at by the judge several times because he just could not stop saying marital strife or marital problems. He wasn't allowed to say that. And she didn't tell him that. She only told him specifics, like what you were just asking about. Sorry, I have a little bit of a bubble in my throat. So every witness was asked, did this federal case put strain on the marriage? Every witness who knew them. And everyone said yes. And that was Anna's main thing. Because, again, like we talked about this, I think, in the last episode, they had his parole officer take the stand. And I found that fascinating because he was under house arrest. And every single movement he made, this is something that I thought was damning, actually. Every movement he made had to be he had to put it in like a week in advance. Like he had a standing, and let me tell you, he was not on house arrest. He had a standing every single day, dropping the kids off at school from between 8:30 and 10:30. He had a standing grocery run every week for like 3 hours. He had one that was like, I have to get my mom back home, and they gave him 6 hours to do it. So during all those times that the parole officer testified to about the week that Anna passed away or was murdered, he was out doing all those weird errands during the times that he was supposed to be dropping the kids off, dropping his mom off, doing all the things that his parole officer said he was supposed to do. And he even got a call from her being like, why are you on this unauthorized trip right now?
Yeah.
And he like made up an excuse. So
anyway, he's a con man.
He is a con man.
Knowing he's a con man is also damning because it's like, how do we know he's not conning us right now kind of situation?
Well, that's the thing. But I also think he's kind of a dumb con man. And none of this was smart, what he did. And I think it has more to do with his privilege because I think he just thinks he's going to get away with everything. They owed $450,000 for the Warhol painting for that case. They had already paid $175,000, and they had just sold. The reason why Jem called Anna 2 days before she was murdered or died is because he had just sold one of their investment properties for them.
It's interesting to me that he continued this business relationship with them even after whatever happened between the two of them made him fire her. That's really interesting. These people are all peculiar. In my opinion,
they are, and the way that he testified about that was, like I said, it came right out of this leadership conference self-help book, where he was like, "People are complex. like that kind of thing. Like, people are complex. I spoke with Anna and I told her, you should be seeking therapy.
Oh, so she fucked up in some way.
From what he said, she was being like, the defense asked him, tell us a time when you weren't happy or you said no to Anna, because she was one of his best friends. And he went through this thing where he was being vague about it, but he was basically like, she was being passive aggressive and she had made some bad decisions and I called her out on it and then I fired her.
Do you think, I'm sorry to interrupt, do you think
no
that, so I've been wondering to what extent, and I speaking ill of the dead is not a good idea, but I've been wondering, or like speculating ill of the dead is not a good idea, and it does not in any way make her less of a victim or that she deserved to die. I've been wondering as these things have dropped out of this case, if they were both like con people, like if she was an embezzler, for instance, or if she was... I
completely believe that they were.
Yeah, and because it seemed like their life is just so... And the same...
Transactional.
When you send somebody an email and you're like, I still love you, but I think you need therapy, when you're their employer, it's like, you fucked up. You fucked up.
This was on the 29th that he said that to her about. Like, and she said that they were going to be getting therapy and all this stuff, because they were talking about both people that saw her last. So Jem Mutlu was, besides Brian, the last person to see her alive. And then right before Jem, her friend in DC, Alyssa Kirby, was the last person to see her before she went back to Massachusetts. And both of them said she was at a breaking point and she was stressed. And it had everything to do with her marriage and the fact that this federal case was keeping Brian and the kids in Massachusetts, and that they couldn't come to DC.
Right.
Because of it. She wanted him. She told Alyssa Kirby she wanted him to go to jail for a year and just be done with it. But he chose to not go to jail and stay at home with the kids. But because he chose to stay at home with the kids, it screwed up their possibility of moving to DC.
Right.
And he couldn't leave the state, and he couldn't leave the house without permission from his parole officer.
Right. Okay.
So, yeah. So she was stressed out.
My husband has like a totally inconsequential lawsuit situation that he's in right now, and I'm stressed out about it. It's like when there's a legal matter hanging over you, that is very fucking stressful. Even if ours is like so low stakes. So low stakes. But
still, anything that has to do with the judicial system or law or police officers or lawyers or a courtroom. I mean, it's, I remember when I went to Veronica Rodriguez's sentencing hearing in Pennsylvania, and I felt so much stress for her and for her family, but also because I was in a courtroom.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of people I saw online were really making fun of Mutlu, and they were making fun of Alyssa Kirby for being like emotional. And a lot of people said that they seemed like they were putting on a persona. Again, people putting on a persona, like we've been talking about. And it's like, I don't think everybody fully understands how terrifying it is to sit on a witness stand.
Right.
Or to just be in a courtroom and have to tell and make sure that you don't mess up so that someone can call you a liar.
Right.
Or so that the public can berate you when you get off the stand, or, all those things.
Or to even talk to the police. I think that people really underestimate the lengths people will go to not get involved in things.
Yes.
Which is like, it's like, why don't you want to? They just don't want to get involved. That's why people don't report crimes that they witness, because they don't want to get involved. They don't want to talk to the police. Because that feels like once you cross that line, you can never uncross it. And one of the interesting things to me about like the extended Karen Reed universe, like all the online people who are all behaving horribly to one another, and also the McCabe's to some extent or whatever. It's like they're all very comfortable talking to the police because they have crossed that line. So they're calling the cops on each other all the fucking time. Because but I think most people are very reticent to be involved with law enforcement or legal process for good reason.
Sure.
But people do feel like it's a line you can't uncross.
Well, I think we also I have an immense fear of going to jail.
I know.
And my anxiety used to be so great that, I grew up with a mother who basically kind of, I had a narcissistic personality disorder mom who also had, borderline personality disorder, narcissistic personality disorder. I was taught as a kid that everything was my fault. Yeah. Right. So I'll just tell a very quick personal story, and it's going to be a Cliff Notes version. But when I was a child, this might get too personal.
Okay,
we'll
then don't
figure it
tell.
out.
Why don't you? Okay, you can tell it.
Oh,
And then
no,
you
no,
can
no.
just take it out.
I'm completely comfortable telling it, but I don't want the audience to feel uncomfortable. But when I was like 5 years old, I had been sexually assaulted by my older stepbrother, and we had to go to court over it. And at 5, almost 6 years old, I had to stand in front of the judge and testify. And my mother was sitting over here, and I was like, I thought I was going to jail. At 5 years old, I thought I had done something wrong. I was going to jail. And when the judge asked my mother questions, my mother said to the judge, oh, it's probably her fault. She probably did something. And I immediately was like, oh, they're going to put me in handcuffs and take me to jail at like 5 years old because my mother, made me think that everything I did was wrong. So when you're in those situations, I mean, that's an extreme situation, but I think most of us, if you're talking to the cops, you're so worried they're going to think that you've done something wrong, right, and that you're going to jail. It's not an easy situation. It's really difficult to get through that psychologically. And I think even these witnesses probably feel like if I fuck this up, either Brian's going free or I'm going to jail. I don't think there's really any in between in our psychology sometimes. Yep. So anyway. Okay. So yeah, Mutlu, he got through it. It was rough. They did the voir dire. One of the things I meant to say this, when you were talking about Anna had a crush on him and you said, maybe they were having an affair. One of the things that Mutlu described was, and Anna is described by people this way all the time, but one of the things that Mutlu described was when he pulled up to the driveway on New Year's Eve, she came running out of the house without a coat on, with like slippers on, and like ran into his arms and hugged him and was just like, that's the way Anna was all the time, apparently. But when you said, maybe they were having an affair, my first thought went to that. Like, from what was established in this testimony from Alyssa Kirby and Mutlu, Brian Walsh knew that she had a crush on Will. He knew Will. He wasn't jealous. We'll get into Alyssa Kirby's testimony now. She literally said to Alyssa Kirby, he's not jealous, but I wish he would be sometimes.
Yeah.
She also told Alyssa that she was having, she was at the end of her rope. They went out Alyssa kept calling it karaoke dancing. And I was just like, you went out to karaoke and you danced? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, I think that's what they mean.
But she like corrected the defense attorney and was like, you mean it was karaoke dancing? And we did it for 6 hours. And I was like, oh, okay. So in those 6 hours, like, they had become fast friends. She called her like her sister. She cried. She like sobbed on the stand when they showed pictures of her with Anna. Anna had a very long conversation with her on her drive home on Christmas Day. And their conversation started because Brian had called Alyssa and was like, do you know where Anna is? It's Christmas. She's supposed to be here. And Alyssa was like, no. And she said she found it odd because Brian was calling her, which she didn't usually call her. So she called Anna, and Anna was pissed. She was pissed that Brian was calling people. She's like, I've only not talked to him for a couple of hours. This is ridiculous. So I felt like that testimony actually helped the defense, because everyone was like, well, why'd you wait 3 days? And he's like, because she used to get pissed off at me whenever I called looking for her.
Yeah.
That's what I might have done as well. If she made 2 statements that were, don't call work and embarrass me, Brian.
Yeah.
And then she got pissed off when he called Alyssa when she was missing on Christmas Day. I'm like, what's wrong with these people?
You know what that is? That's the person having an affair who gets mad about the person looking at their phone.
Yes.
When they discover they've done something wrong. It's like, how dare you violate my privacy? And they try to make that the big issue.
Yes.
When really, by the way, if you're watching this right now, you've ever been tempted to say that when someone has found something out shitty about you on your phone, if you go immediately to why were you looking at my phone, you are the problem. Just going to throw it out there.
Yes. That's how I discovered my last spouse.
Unless what they discover on your phone is something so innocuous, like, I learned that you ate a piece of pizza for lunch. It's like, that's why you're hiding your phone from that person, because they police your eating.
I went to McDonald's today.
Exactly.
No, I mean, I remember that moment. My ex wife was, she was staring at her phone and she had made some kind of a face, like she smiled or something like that. And I remember thinking, huh. And then when she looked up, she like hit her phone. She like just turned it over.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, fuck.
Oh, yeah.
And as soon as she left for work, I went on like the AT&T and I saw that she had been calling this one person's number over and over and over and over again and texting all day long and da-da-da. And I called the person because I knew exactly who it was. And they answered and I was like, oh, there it is. And that was the end of it. But it's that moment where you see, they don't mean to do it, I don't think, but she hit her phone.
Yeah.
In just like a very sort of, it was subtle, but it was just like,
it's reflexive.
You have that feeling.
Dude, if you're going to cheat on your partner, fucking use WhatsApp. Like, don't, like, the phone bill thing is so easy to discover. Yeah. I'm not saying it's okay to cheat on your partner. I'm saying if you're going to do it, don't be an idiot.
No. I know. So like she was at work and I remember I called her and I was like, we need to talk. And I confronted her about it. While we were talking, within the minutes that we were on the phone, she had logged into our AT&T account and changed the password.
Of course.
I was like, ooh, someone's guilty.
Someone did it. Someone did it.
Anyway,
all right. So this woman, Alicia, is that her name?
Alyssa Kirby was very emotional. She was very lovely. I didn't have any issues with her. I believed her. I didn't feel like she was putting on any kind of an act. She really loved Anna, but she did say they were having issues. But again, didn't know about the affair. She had no testimony that Brian had been, upset, like doing anything wrong toward Anna. She had never seen anything like that. Anna had never told her anything like that. One of the most important parts of the Mutlu testimony was the day that Brian called him to say, have you seen Anna?
Yeah.
This was 3 days later. And Mutlu was like, what do you mean have I seen Anna? I just saw you guys on New Year's Eve. And he's like, well, she's missing. And he's like, and Mutlu got pissed off. He was like, what do you mean she's missing? And why am I just hearing about this now? And he's like, I'm sorry. She said she had a work emergency. She left just hours after you left. And he's like, what kind of a work emergency at 6 o'clock in the morning? He like questioned Brian on the phone. And the other thing that happened was that Brian also called Alyssa in DC and was like, she's missing. Alyssa lived right down the street from her. She's like, so let me run over there and see if she's there. And before she could do that, this might have been on Christmas Day. I can't remember if it was New Year's Eve. I don't remember which one it was. But basically, Brian called her back and was like, no, it's fine. I found her. So anyway, that was it, though. That was it. The prosecution rested right there. And I have a lot of questions still. And I have something that I want to pose to you.
Okay.
That is a huge fucking deal. And I don't understand why we haven't, had an answer to it. And I think it's also how he got rid of her body. Ready?
Yes.
Remember all those buckets? Remember the blue buckets?
Mm-hmm. And he got orange buckets, too, from Home Depot. I saw the Home Depot video.
He went to Home Depot and he got orange buckets. Those buckets had liquid sealing lids. And they have never been brought up in evidence.
Wait, they had what? Oh, liquid sealing?
Like lids that would seal liquid inside.
Oh, okay.
And where are they?
That's a good question.
Where are the buckets?
I mean, it sounds like that's probably...
There were 10 or 15 of them.
That's
Where
like a
are the
dismemberment potential kit situation, right?
Yep. So what I'm understanding is that... Oh. But here's the thing. What?
They had rental... They owned investment properties?
Yes.
They probably had access to and we know they had access to dumpsters, but I'm wondering about construction disposal, if they have access to that kind of thing.
I think that they were just buying and selling. I don't think they were building anything. Okay. I think it was mostly just buying and selling. But one of the things the probation officer said that he had to have permission to leave the house to do garbage runs. So they had to take their garbage off site to a dumpster, much like Brian Higgins. But the problem is that there is no surveillance whatsoever of him carrying any of those buckets after he bought them. And they weren't in the house. So where are they? I think they're at the mom's house.
Oh.
Yes. They never searched
the mom's house ever searched?
No. She's not involved in this at all. She was supposed to testify, obviously. So where are those bright blue and bright orange buckets that are probably full of Anna's body parts?
I don't know. Maybe he used them, he put a part in them and then put like some rocks and sand in there and threw it in the ocean.
Or from what I hear, some of the places, but the thing is, there's no surveillance of him dropping any of those buckets, but maybe he found a dumpster, like some of the dumpsters that he dropped in, they incinerate their trash. So,
yeah.
The buckets.
Thing with those buckets, though, is that this is total fucking spitballing. But like, I have a trash service pickup, and it's local, and they'll take anything.
Yes,
like, I put it
same.
like they are not. They say they do like zero sort recycling. I don't think they do. I think they just fucking burn it all. Like, you don't know. Like these little companies. The one thing they won't take is if they can see like a construction bucket or a paint can or something. They just won't take it.
Although my people will. Mine
have told me
my wood shop's in the garage. They take all of my scrap.
Yeah. Mine will tell me if I can see it, I can't take it. And what they're telling you is to put it inside.
Yeah.
It's bad.
So if I see a hand sticking out of a bucket, I can't take that. But if you put the lid on it, it's cool. Bright blue buckets, bright orange buckets with lids that keep liquid inside. There wasn't a lot of blood found. He did buy all kinds of tarp, and he bought 3 Tyvek suits. I don't think the medium fit him. I think he had to get a large or an extra large. I'm not really sure. I'm not fat shaming him.
Of course he bought a medium. His aspirational. I'm a medium. He's probably a medium in his head forever.
He's like super tall and stuff too. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, so he had tarp. They didn't find a lot of blood, which we established. They did. The defense was able to not prove, but put it in the jury's mind that everything that had Anna's DNA on it could have been that they don't know when it happened. They don't know when the DNA got there. So it could have been before. She could, like the slippers she was wearing or the slippers that were in the house that had her DNA and had blood evidence on them. She could have had a hangnail. She could, like, there's so many reasons. The amount of blood was so minimal that it could have been anything. And all the DNA could have been cross-contamination. It could have been anything.
You know what I keep thinking about? And
What's
we
up?
do as you know, my husband and I do a podcast about Law and Order and SVU. So we've watched
Yes. What's it called?
all of them. It's called These Are Their Stories. And it's really fun. And you have to come on, Mel.
I do. I do have to come on.
So I keep thinking these charges can't be revisited if he's acquitted of first-degree murder.
Mm-hmm.
If he's acquitted of first-degree murder, he could literally say, here's where the buckets are with her body parts after. And that's where he could. And there's nothing they could do. I mean, that's why it's risky to take one of these cases to trial. And I'm not making light of it, but I'm thinking of there's like a Law and Order episode where a man is acquitted and then goes and confesses on the courthouse steps.
Yeah.
And there's nothing they can do.
But that's the thing. I all of a sudden was like, okay, well, we know where everything else that he bought is. We know he bought new rugs to put over the rugs that he had taken out. He bought booties. He bought Tyvek. He bought the snips. He bought all these things. We know where
tools,
all of those things are.
Hacksaw, axe.
Where are the buckets? Where are the buckets, Brian?
Where are the buckets?
Where are the buckets, Brian? So anyway, that was my big takeaway. Basically what happened this morning is that Judge Frenier said we'll be back. They're probably back right about now, talking about the jury instructions and what they're asking for. And then they're going to go over that probably in open court today. Tomorrow we'll be closing. After the prosecution rests, the defense did stand up and ask for the Lattimore standard, which is basically
dismissal.
They didn't prove their case.
Yeah.
And we wanted to dismiss. In the moment, she was like, yeah, I'm not going to do that. So tomorrow, closing arguments, and then it's handed off to the jury, and we will find out probably pretty soon who's going to win this bet of ours.
That means that
Verdict
Vinny's
watch.
going to be wearing his pink tie or whatever.
His pink tie. Yeah, red tie.
Red or pink. Yeah. Yep. We didn't mention.
What's that?
Related to a different case. I reminded, so folks should know that when we're taping this, Mel has made this beautiful background that we get to look at. That's like our logo spread out. You know whose face I see poking out to the left there is Matthew Farwell. Yep. The feds have taken the death penalty off the case.
That's true. We did not talk about
the
that.
Farwell case. And I just want to say, you can't really
From
make
Pam Bondi
anything
herself.
of that. Yeah, you can't make anything of that. But it is not an uncommon thing to do if they're negotiating and the person's talking and they're going to slowly pull back. If you do this, we'll do this. If you do this, if you tell us this, we'll do this. So, I thought that was an interesting development. So we'll keep an eye on that.
Yeah, we are on Verdict Watch, and we're also on Epstein Files Watch because those should be coming out any day now. They're supposed to. And,
Such as they are.
And they unsealed the...
Menopause break.
Unsealed with the Ghislaine Maxwell case.
Do you know that
Do you
she
know
was
what I'm talking
arrested 12 miles from my house?
I do know that. That compound she was living on is stunning.
Yeah, it's a beautiful house. It's Bradford, New Hampshire. My son was, and this is not one of those things where I'm trying to insert myself and I could have been me situation, but my son was literally swimming at a lake that's that's right near where the house is, and he and his girlfriend saw like some shit going. They were like, "Oh, what's going?" And they left. And then it was in the news like a couple hours later that the FBI arrested her, and they misreported as Bedford, New Hampshire, in a couple places. I heard Bradford, and then I was hearing Bedford, and I was like, "No, I think they said Bradford."
I've always heard it as Bedford.
It's Bradford, and Bradford is like up 89
Bedford.
to exit 9, where I go to my market basket, and instead of
Market
making
basket.
a right, you make a left, and you go through Bradford to get to like the Sunapee region. It's like in that nether
Sunapee.
region around Sunapee. You can also go to the back road you can get to from Route 202, which I'm sure you care about a lot. I think you could take 114 up to Bradford as well. But it's
202.
like as the crow flies, it's like 8 or 10 miles or 12 miles from my house. And I was like, she was here the whole time.
But do you have a nudist park?
There's a nudist park along Route 4 toward Portsmouth.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the one you were telling me about?
Really?
Yeah, there's one off of Route 4.
No. This one's off of 125, the Cedarwaters Nudist Park. They used to have a huge sign.
Yeah. You know what else we have
Yeah.
in New Hampshire that folks
What's
might
that?
know? We did an episode about it on Outside In a million years ago. There's a private big game hunting reserve in New Hampshire.
Oh, I didn't know
That's
that.
like all of this fenced off, and they have like
Oh my God.
African animals in there. They have like antelopes and like wild boars and shit in there.
Speaking of big game, did you read that? This is so off topic of everything. Did you read that story of the people who paid like hundreds of thousands of dollars to hunt humans?
That sounds like it's like a movie. There's a movie like that.
It's real. It's really real, and it was happening during a war.
Oh.
And I'm sorry, I don't know
yeah.
where it happened.
That
You know what I'm talking
I think
about?
that was I think that was in the war in the Balkans.
I don't remember, but all I know is that these like really rich people
Yes.
paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to go up and sniper kill children and adults.
Yeah, I believe that was, if I'm remembering correctly, and we'll just get added at if we're not remembering correctly, but we can look it up. We can talk about it another time. I believe it was the war
Serbia?
in the Balkans. Yeah,
Serbia. It was Serbia.
that's the
I think.
Balkans. That's
Yeah, I know.
that's accurate.
Yeah, that's accurate.
I was being
Anyway.
I was being broad, so I couldn't be too specific and make a huge mistake.
I know. I'm so always so worried about if I say like one word off, I'm gonna get reamed.
It's going to
in
be
the
a comment on a
comments.
YouTube thing. It's fine. It's fine. At least we're not like out here lying on purpose on the internet like some folks are.
We're just having a convo.
Yeah, we're not just saying things
anyway.
happened in the trial of Karen Reed that didn't actually happen. We're not just, saying people said things.
Yes,
that did
we
things
mixed
they didn't
up
do.
Jill Daniels' name.
Yes, Jill
and-
Daniel and Julie Albert.
Like we know.
Julie
and we also
Albert
just-
testified that Bukkake was Bukkake. Jill Daniel is her sister, and they look a lot alike. They both look like they've had a
They
lot of
do.
sun.
Oh yeah.
They both look like
A lot of Marlboro Lights.
a lot of sun, a lot of smoking, well
Yeah.
pickled.
Yes.
I don't.
Wait, how did Lanahan describe Nicole?
How? Oh,
No.
yeah.
Yellow Cottage Tales?
Lenahan said that she had the face of Irish poverty.
I can't. It's one of my favorite things
That
ever.
that Jen McCabe is
Oh
like
my
small
God.
and petite,
Small and petite.
or
And
something
Nicole-
like that. And Nicole is like husky and robust. I mean, I am paraphrasing, but if you
What-
look at the
I thought-
sentences, I will find them and I'll read them on
What
the
is
podcast.
Irish poverty?
That she has the face of like generational Irish poverty. Basically, he's saying you look
Like
like
when we were
you're
just
in
eating
a,
potatoes?
You look like you're in a famine book. Like you look like you're a famine cosplayer. Or, I think he's just talking about the Irish face, like Kevin has it. He's got a little pug nose. He's got like the, that sort of, he's got a baby face, like a baby faceishness.
Oh my God.
And there's also like, a haggardness that I think he was trying to hint at there, which is not nice. It's not kind.
Yikes.
But she's very
And
stoic.
I just want to state
and
this
very
for the record.
strong.
I want to state this for the record. We absolutely 100% do know that his name is Joe Paul. In my brain, he is Tommy Paul.
That's
You
right.
don't need to correct me. I know his name. But I call him Tommy Paul or Tommy Boy.
Yeah.
And Rebecca reminds us that that is the Walmart knockoff brand of Tommy jeans.
Tommy Hilfiger or whatever. I actually want to make merch. And I've been thinking about this. I'd love to make merch that had like, where there was like a t-shirt that had like a logo on it that was like a faux logo, but that actually said it says Tommy Paul. I want that. I heart straight bears, although I'm afraid if people wear them in public, people will think they're being homophobic, which is not what I mean. It's just my personal type, straight bears.
On the back, just put, I'm not homophobic.
Yes, I'm an ally.
I'm an ally. Yeah.
I heart straight bears. Maybe it should be a tote bag or a mug and not a shirt. I want, what else was the other thing that I said that I wanted to do? Tangent centric. We can do something with that. Yeah. There's a lot.
Yeah, let us know if you want merch. I mean, I think merch will be fun. I want a Starfucker coffee mug. I want that. I love it.
She's great.
Yeah, thanks. And thanks, guys. So I put out a post yesterday being like, hey, you want to help us out? Even if it's not monetarily, here are all the things you can do. And boy, did you guys come and help.
I loved it. Share, subscribe, put on Reddit, put on social media, put places. But please do, because she won't ask herself. Throw the podcast a tip. If you like what we're doing, if you're listening to this show, if you find yourself an hour and a half later being like, oh, that was really great. Like, you pay for other content you get in your life. You pay for your subscriptions. You pay for your Netflix. You might be paying another YouTuber. Just throw $5 in the pot. Mel works her ass off editing this podcast.
It's not just me. Stop
so
saying
that.
The
worst mistakes can get cut out, and like the dog farts and stuff. So imagine what we're cutting out and what we're leaving in. The errors tour over here.
Yeah.
This has been very fun.
This has been fun. But yeah, I really appreciate everybody that came out and like commented and liked the videos and subscribed. Please keep doing it. I know it seems almost inconsequential, but if you just go to a couple of the videos and I don't even care if you just put an emoji comment, it still helps us, like helps our algorithm.
Yeah.
And since we're still kind of new here. Yeah.
So you know what else is helpful? If you're in like someone else's feed, like if you're watching someone else's stream and there's a conversation in the comments and you're participating, talk about our podcast there so other podcast consumers know that person who likes this also likes this. That's also a good idea. That's why the really shout out from Annie Deb was so lovely. So I really appreciate it.
I was just about to ask you, do you say aunt or aunt?
I say aunt because I'm from Long Island.
I say aunt because I'm from, I guess it's because I'm from New England. I don't know. Do people in New England say aunt?
Yeah, okay. Where I grew up, it was definitely like cultural. Like, I grew up in a majority town, and it was sort of like black kids said aunt and white kids said aunt, and it's like because
when I moved to Texas,
it's from southern. It's like a southern, origin thing, and also aunties and stuff. They just mean something very different in different cultures.
Yes.
Like I've learned that people call people their aunts who aren't there. They're just like everybody is your aunt, and in white people it's like, oh, that's my mother's sister. Like that's. We have a very
and also
not
we don't
deep and
we
rich
don't
culture.
Use salt and pepper.
Yeah, we don't like spices. I do.
We don't like spices.
I'm Italian.
I love spices.
When I met Kevin, everything he fucking ate was beige.
Oh, Kev,
like Irish man,
mashed
Irish
potatoes,
meatloaf, mashed potatoes,
meatloaf and mashed potatoes,
boiled foods, boiled meats.
I mean, I'm definitely like white Euro trash, but I also am a tiny bit Italian. And I cook. I love to cook, so I cook everything. And I have to say, can I just tell you one thing before we go?
Yeah.
Okay. So you and I talk a lot about GLP-1s because you have taken them, and
it changed my life.
Just started. I just started my journey like 4 or 5 months ago, and I want to stay for the record, even though I don't need to. I'm not taking them because I'm like looking for a quick way to lose weight. I've been an athlete my whole life, but I went through menopause, and
you don't have to apologize. You can take them however, for whatever reason you want.
I feel like I have to say it. But anyway, you know how you told me when I first started taking them, when I was getting ready to take them, I asked you about, advice on like how it was going to feel and what I'll go through. And you were like, I had the worst like nausea, but the only thing I could eat were, what did you say? Like gummies?
Candy. Like Nerds Clusters.
You know what I did this week?
Candy, gummy bears. I could eat sugar, but like anything so when I knew I needed calories because I was feeling like weak because I wasn't eating a lot, I would just eat like a whole fucking bag of gummy bears. What did you eat this week?
So before this, I didn't eat sugar.
Same. I was not a big candy person. Now I'm a huge candy person.
I like a Swiss or a French diet. I love some bread and cheese and butter and chocolate occasionally. But ever since I started taking them, I have this crazy sweet tooth, and I'm not eating like when I would normally eat. Like I was very much on a schedule and all this stuff. I have not been hungry at all this week, but I have played tennis a lot. And so I've been burning like 1,000 calories every time I play tennis, and I'm like not eating. And then I don't know what happened, but I took a nap the other day. And as I was going to sleep, I was like, chocolate cake. And I literally woke up and from scratch made a chocolate cake and from scratch made cream cheese frosting.
Nice.
And I've only eaten chocolate cake for 3 days.
Yeah.
I'm not eating real food. I mean, there's eggs in it.
You'll get over that part. But I'll tell you, my sweet tooth has remained because I like.
It's so good.
It is. And honestly, if anyone is thinking about doing medical assisted weight loss, I did oral medication before the GLP-1 thing happened because I just had my metabolism died. And I didn't, I felt crazy, and I didn't want to be fat.
Me too.
Like, that's just why I had always been like a small person, and then all of a sudden I was a huge person, and it made me feel crazy. Also, it's like I wasn't happy. I didn't like the way I would see myself in store windows and be like, who the fuck
and your
is that?
body is uncomfortable.
Yeah,
like
you hurt your knees.
My
and all that
body
shit.
was in pain because of this.
So
it sucks.
so I've been really doing this since like 2021. It's been a long time for me, but like. The one thing that I have not, the advice, if anyone out there is thinking about it, the advice I would give you is you won't be hungry. So it would be very easy to just eat like diet shit. It would be very easy to just have like fruit and like yogurt and like Special K and like lean chicken. Do not do that, because what you actually need is something that's very satisfying that will like pull you through. So
like chocolate cake.
Or like a quarter of the thickest grill. My dogs are going apeshit.
Stuart, I was like, the cops are at your door. Or something.
No, it's probably
Stuart's
UPS.
Crazy.
They're both going. They're both running around. Like a quarter of the fattest grilled cheese sandwich you can possibly make. Like shit like that is like.
I love a grilled cheese.
Yeah, there are things I have aversions to now. I don't like fried food particularly ananymore. Haven't for a couple years. I don't really like fries. I don't really like breaded things. I still love wings, and I still love some things. I love cheese. Fucking love cheese. But
Smart.
so last night
after
eating whatever little thing we ate, I don't know, I had like half a slice of pizza and like some salad or whatever. I had this like mini mint chocolate chip hot fudge sundae. Mrs. Richardson's is like a staple in my house.
Yep.
And it's like calories in, calories out. It's like it's fine. But I would always tell people, if you eat the diet food, your body will get used to the diet food, and you're actually long term hurting your metabolism more. So like you'll be like. My endocrinologist.
We are not dietitians.
No, my endocrinologist told me this though because my metabolism died because I'd gone on this big weight loss and weightlifting kick in my 30s, and it's like when you put things in your body that just like zoom through, it's like when your digestion slows down and all that stuff that GLP-1s does, it's not helpful. But people will tell you to do that, and I'll just say eat what you like. Because you don't have to worry about it as much because you're not crazy, because you like it because you want it, and you're not going to eat 8 pounds of it. Like,
no.
Anyway.
No, and like when I'm saying I have been eating chocolate cake for the past 3 days, like I had like a piece of chocolate cake.
You don't have to excuse it to me. I think that's great. I think it's fucking fantastic.
I mean, I don't feel bad. That's the crazy thing.
You shouldn't.
I think a lot of it
changes your relationship with food. It takes guilt away.
That's what I was saying. I think that my psychology has completely changed because I haven't felt guilty about this. I'm like, are you kidding me? I go and play tennis for an hour, burn 1,000 calories. I'm running around picking up the kids. I'm doing all this stuff all day. I'm working all day. I ate a piece of chocolate cake and I didn't feel hungry for the rest of the day. And I was so happy about eating chocolate cake.
Yeah.
I was like, come on.
Eat what makes you happy. That's what I say. Because you can't eat much, so you might as well just eat what makes you happy.
It's interesting that we're talking about this because I did notice one of our comments. I wanted to bring this up to you. Somebody did mention you talking about GLP-1s and how it was super helpful to them. But then when they tried to talk about it in the Facebook group, they got a bunch of shit for it.
Oh, well,
and I'm like, what? Anyway,
that shouldn't happen.
Glad-
we do have no weight loss tips as one of our old school. That was an old school rule. But we talk about GLP-1s and medical weight loss on the show a lot. And also
anyway, someone got some shit for talking about it, and I just wanted to say, don't feel bad about talking about it. It's completely it's healthy to talk about. Like we're happy to talk about it here.
Yeah,
all right. Thanks to everybody. Thanks to the tippers. Thanks to everyone who commented. Thanks to everyone who has subscribed and signed up for a membership. Rebecca and I are going to be doing a live very soon, and we might be back tomorrow with more updates, but I don't know. I'll let you know. I think I'm gonna try to put this episode out today.
I might win my bet tomorrow.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
Or you might.
We'll see. I think the jury's not going to be out very long. I don't think I don't think murder one is happening.
Okay. Well, if murder one's not happening, it will take longer.
You can shake on it. Want to shake? I miss you.
I miss you too. Looking forward to
wow.
coming to see you so you can buy me dinner when I win my bet.
Okay. Coming back to DC, are you? Okay. All right. Thanks, Rebecca. I appreciate you.
Thanks, Mel. This was fun.